Okay, so with this essay, I want you to use the chunking method. We're going to go over what that means again. So it's still using the Peel method as a base, but you are chunking together evidence that supports your P. So on this outline that I gave you, it kind of shows you how to do that anyway. So let's go to that first point. I'm going to give you bogus answers so that you can't steal what I'm saying, but I'm still going to hopefully illustrate how you can use chunking within your essay. So for example, number 1 says the first way a society would suffer in a society that demands equality. I'm going to say it would suffer because you would not have good pizza. Because I always like to bring it back to pizza. Okay, so my P would be an intelligently written sentence about society suffering without good pizza. Okay, that's my P. I only do 1 P per paragraph, no matter what. No matter if I'm giving 2 pieces of evidence, 1 piece of evidence, 3 pieces of evidence, I'm only going to have 1 P. The next thing I'm going to do is our evidence and example, 1 chunk of that, and then I'm going to chunk another piece of evidence and example. The first chunk is going to be from the piece of literature. So in this case, it's going to be from Harrison Bergeron. So let's say, this is not actually in the book, but let's say there's a pizza chef and he has a handicap on him that makes him only make pizza that tastes like toast and tomato, okay? So I would put that quote there, quote about bad pizza. And then I would explain how because of the handicap, because of this is a great transition to use, a great sentence starter. Because of this, we can see blah-de-da-da. So because of the handicap on the pizza dude, which makes him only make pizza that tastes like toast, we can see that the society cannot experience amazing pizza, thus depriving them of a fundamental human right, which is great pizza. Okay, so that is using Harrison Bergeron. That's the first chunk. The second chunk, we have not started a new paragraph. This is still in the same paragraph, but we're going to give a different evidence. And for this paper, I want outside evidence for your second chunk, outside evidence. So for this, we could use outside evidence of how, maybe I'm going to quote a study that says human happiness is correlated with the amount of pizza they eat. Happiness increases with good pizza consumption. I don't know if that's true. Sounds plausible to me. Okay, so I'm quoting that study. Remember, your evidence is you're not going to draw any conclusions with your evidence. Your evidence is just throwing it out there, being like, yo, here's the evidence. But then with your explanation, you always have to say, why does this matter? Why does this evidence matter? What does that mean to me? Even if you think that the quote itself is pretty duh, you need to make sure that I understand. Make sure that I understand why a society, which is the point, why a society suffers. So maybe you could say, therefore, in a society without good pizza, so I'm linking back up to this P, without good pizza, whose happiness has decreased, so I'm referencing back to this quote, rates of depression will increase, maybe rates of suicide will increase, maybe people will quit their jobs more frequently. Okay, so explain really what effect that would have. Don't just say people won't be happy. Great, well, what does that mean? Why does that matter? Why does it matter that people are not happy? And then we ended as we do in all of our Peel paragraphs, which is just linking back to that topic sentence, that P. So it's our final graham cracker in this graham cracker s'more sandwich. So if our P says something like society would suffer without good pizza in a society that demands equality, our link could be as explored in the previous evidence, society's quality of life would diminish without excellent pizza. Okay, pretty much says the same thing, just worded differently. So that would be your first body paragraph. So your actual second paragraph, but your first body paragraph. For the second second way society suffers, you just pick another way. Another way that the society would suffer because it's demanding equality. And then talk about how we see it in Harrison Bergeron, and then the effect of our own society, so outside evidence. And if, just to give you some hints, if you look back and think about the actual story of Harrison Bergeron, we see specific examples of handicaps given to people to take away their ability to do things. So think about what, I'll throw this one out there for free. For example, the newscaster had to have a speech impediment because he could not be able to articulate better than anyone else. So how would society suffer because of that? Think about that. Or the ballet dancers who could not dance beautifully or any better than anyone else. How would society suffer because of that? Or people's strength, that they had to have weights put on them so that they could not be strong. How would society suffer because of that? So think of 3 different ways society would suffer, and then do the essay. I think that covers it all. Any questions? No? Fabulous. Okay. So now that you understand the essay assignment, I want to do a quick review on how to cite sources, because we are going to put in-text citations in this essay. So we're going to use MLA format as always. And obviously one of our sources is going to be Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut. I think that's how you say his name. Not quite sure. Harrison Bergeron. So what I would do if I were you, I would go to one of these handy dandy online websites where you can just type in a book or short story names and it tells you how to cite it in your works cited page. So I would do that with all your sources. So first you need to gather your sources. So let's say we're using that, and then we're also using a website on pizza's effects on people. Let's say it's called Pizza's Effects, and it's by Matthew Crowder. Sounds like something you would write, right, Matthew?
Sure.
Okay, great. And then I need 2 other sources for my other points. Let's say that I'm going to use a title that talks about, this is not going to make any sense, but Cats Meow. Let's say that's the title of the article, and it's by Rocky Smith. And then I'm going to have another article that's called Red Pens. And these are all articles found on the web, on some random website, I don't know. Let's do George Jones. How about that? Okay. So after I've gathered up all the sources that I know I'm going to use and just have jotted them down somewhere, we're going to make sure that we do 2 things with them. First of all, we're going to make our works cited page. And your works cited page must always be separate from your essay, as in it needs to be on a separate paper. You don't need to end the essay here and then start your works cited here. It needs to be on the next page and start at the very top. Your works cited is where you're going to use a fancy website and plug all these in, and it's going to spit it out, and it's going to show you how they're formatted. Okay, and then you're going to list those formatted citations under your title of works cited. If you need an example, Google it. Make sure you do a hanging indentation. If you can't remember how to do that, guess what? You can Google it. Yes, great. Okay, the next really, really important thing you need to make sure you're doing with your works cited is you're making sure that you actually have in-text citations, meaning when you have written your essay, within the body of the essay, when you introduce an idea that you have gotten from any of your sources, that you are giving proper attribution, proper credit to the author. So if I'm writing that cats meows make people smart. Now, I did not get that from my own brain. Now, if it was common knowledge, then I don't have to cite it. But that's not common knowledge, because that's probably not even true. So if it's something that I've gotten from somewhere else, I need to, first of all, figure out where did I get that from. Obviously, in my list of stuff, I got it from this article. And then I need to figure out how to actually insert that into my essay so that people know that I got it from Rocky Smith's article called Cats Meows. Well, in this case, all I'm going to do is list the last name of the author, which is Smith, put it inside of parentheses, and then put the punctuation at the end of the sentence. Okay, punctuation goes outside the parentheses at the end. This would tell a reader, let's say Mary Beth is reading this and she sees that cats meows make people smart. She's like, huh, I don't really believe that. I want to check up on that. Well, she can look at the word Smith, and then she can go to my works cited page. That's why a works cited page is important too. And she can see the full description of where I found that, and she can go look at it herself. Okay? Now, another way to cite, and you might do this when you're talking about, in fact, that's what I have for the sentence starters. I say in Vonnegut's Harrison Bergeron, we see blah, blah, blah. I have said his last name and I've said the title. I don't have to cite it after that in that paragraph. However, if I bring it up again in the next paragraph, I have to make sure that I am saying his name in some way, the author's name. So I'm either going to put it at the end of that first sentence, like that, Vonnegut, or I'm going to say Vonnegut writes, or in Vonnegut's story, blah, blah, blah. Okay, does that make semi-sense?
Yes.
Yes, please do. I don't know how you're going to get anything from my chicken scratch, but please do. Anything else? Make sure, it's another thing to remember. Make sure that if it is listed in your works cited page, that it is cited in your text somewhere. So if you say you got information from this article by George Jones on red pens, you better have Jones' name somewhere in the body, whether it's, you could write it in George Jones' article, red pens, or you could say, red pens are amazing, Jones. Okay, obviously you would not be using that information. That does bring me to one other thing that I know I've mentioned before, but if it is common knowledge, let me reiterate that. If it is common knowledge, it does not have to have a citation. Meaning if the majority of people that you talk to in the world already know that, already know everything about that, like not just a part of whatever fact you're saying, but let's say Matthew says cows produce milk. Do you need a citation for that? No, you do not need a citation for that. But if you said Jersey cows produce milk, well, the majority of people you talk to may not know that. So you do have to cite that. Because just because people know that cows produce milk, they may not know that Jersey cows produce milk. Okay? All right, so that is, I think that's all we're going to do today. If you want to take time to research stuff, you can, or you can be free to go right now. But do look up research to support your evidence on how society would suffer, how our society would suffer. So first you're going to talk about Harrison Bergeron's society in each paragraph, and then talk about our own society. Okay? I think that's all I got for you.